Good evening to you all. By that I mean good evening to all Ghanaians who mean well for this nation called Ghana. Welcome once again to Minority Caucus. My name is Nana Kofi Opondamwa, and as usual, we have a very enlightening discussion for you in these studios right now. But before we proceed to the studio discussions, let us take some time to clear some myths that have been going on this weekend. First of all, let it be known to all of Ghana that nobody died when people went to welcome Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo into Tamale. The stories that are going on are false and they are all myths. They are fruits of the imagination of some few individuals who seek political equalization. That point has to be made and made forcefully. Again, the New Patriotic Party wishes to encourage all our followers that no matter what, we understand that it is a human institution, and so people should learn to forgive and forget. Ghana belongs to you and me. If you've wronged each other, if anything has gone wrong within the society that you live in, for tonight, as the good books have all admonished us, let us learn not to let the sun set on our anger. Let them go by and live with each other freely and fairly. Tonight's discussion is the NPP and the youth. What are the plans and programs of the NPP for the youth? And what have we done in the past about these things for the youth? For now, the people with me to do this discussion are Mr. Ernest Adade, former Deputy National Coordinator of the National Youth Employment Program, and Mr. Arnold Boateng, a youth activist in the NPP and a member of the communication team. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you.
As you're all aware, there's a lot of enthusiasm in Tamale. That is where the IEA debates are going to be held. And on the line, we have a senior member of the NPP communications team, Mr. Michael Kwe. If you can hear me, Mike, good evening.
Yes, very good evening to you.
How is the place like now, Mike?
Oh, Tamale's atmosphere is very charged, very fantastic. The people are very excited to see Nana Akufo-Addo, and any sign of any NPP paraphernalia in the city center sends people excited, and it's buzzing, basically. Very good atmosphere.
People are ready for the debates?
Oh, yes, very much. Nana is going through his bill. A few things have gone on, of course, not for public consumption, so I can't go into it. But at the moment, I'm in the preparation room, going through a few things here. You can see people like Gabby and Edward and Dr. Freku and quite a few unusual faces. Obushi Sakofi, also Elizabeth Ohene and so on, all feverishly going through some preparations, notes, and so on. So, yes, as you know, Nanado is a very thorough person. He's somebody who does his homework before he comes out to make a statement. So he's working at it and everything is going fine.
Okay. So you can assure us of a top-notch, top-class performance tomorrow.
I wouldn't want to go. In fact, Mr. Jakon, the campaign manager, just walked past right now, going into the room as well. Yes, I mean, Nana Addo has never given an underperformance. You saw his recent IE encounter. People were very excited by his performance. Pleasantly surprised, a lot of people as well. So, yes, as is the norm for Nana is retiring. And we look forward to Ghanaians having a quality debate so that it will even put the American one in second place.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mike, for
have a nice day.
We will. Thank you very much. Bye. So as we've all heard, Nana Addo is currently preparing himself for the IEA debates. We wish him well, and we know that tomorrow will be yet another feather in his cap. Let's come back to the studio to continue with the discussions. Mr. Ernest Adade, I want us to look at this entire discussion on youth on two major things that are of importance to the youth in Ghana today. These are employment, that is jobs, and education. Let's start with employment. You were the former Deputy National Coordinator of the National Youth Employment Program. How did the program come about in the first place?
Thank you very much. And before I begin, I will say a very good evening to all Ghanaians Very good evening to all the youth of Ghana and the people of Ghana who are at the moment watching this program. With this question, simply, how did the National Youth Employment Program come about? If you will remember somewhere along the early 2001 when President Kufuor took office, he promised before taking office that he is going to make sure that Ghana has a better situation in terms of jobs, because jobs have been a problem for this country for a long time. When he took office, people went around, there were registrations and things, people saw it as a bad thing, but I believe that if you really want to understand the program or you really want to take a good step, you first of all have to have the right statistics. So they did that to be able to get the right statistics, and we had a rough picture of what the situation is on the ground. Then the decision as to what to do about it arose. What do we do about it? Are we going to build new factories and begin to do new things? These are going to take time. So people went to work and people went to the drawing board. And it took some time for us to arrive at a situation that can arrest the unemployment situation immediately, whilst long-term steps are being taken, medium to long-term steps are being taken to address the unemployment issue. And then this issue of the Youth Corps. The original name was the Youth Employment Corps, which was going to be a program, and the whole idea is to just bring the youth together and make sure that the youth become useful to themselves and to this country, Ghana. So those three things came about. One, try as much as possible and let the youth be useful to themselves. Two, at least let them earn a living, a decent living, so that we will not have these our young men and women walking around the street and maybe turning into armed robbers and all these other associated problems with unemployment. Then the third one is making the youth useful to this country. And this whole project started. There is a document. I'm surprised, you see, let me go back before. There is a document on the National Youth Employment Program, which is supposed to be the implementation plan of the program. Now nobody talks about it. It's a very detailed document. It's it's something that spells out everything that has to be done with the program before it was started. And actually, the program took off and took off quite smoothly. The target of the program for the first 2 years was going to be 200,000, and then we are going to move to 500,000 youth by the end of the first 5 years of the program. By the end of the first year, we achieved 108,000 people on the job. These were as a result of decisions that were made. I don't want to bore you with all the number issues, but I want to bore you with one thing, which has been going around. The government did not put in an exit plan. I have always said it is never true. I was at the center of the implementation of the National Youth Employment Program. And I can sit here and say it on authority that the National Youth Employment Program had a properly planned exit plan for all the modules of the program. I happen to directly run internship. So I will speak specifically on internship, and I'm challenging every Ghanaian. There are well-meaning Ghanaians listening to us. At the end of the first year of the program, we posted 149 people to IRS. Out of the 149, 130 were taken on and were given full-time jobs. We posted 26 to VAT service. We posted the people based on the capacity of the agency and the need for the people. Because one, we were giving them what we call management training. Two, we were giving them the needed experience for them to be able to actually apply for the jobs. Because you know in Ghana, you'll be asked for 5 years working experience, 3 years working experience, 2 years working experience. And often it is relevant working experience, which you cannot get when you are at home.
Something that you cannot get from space. So
you
actually need to be on the
you cannot
job.
even get it in the classroom. You have to get it on the job. So accountants were posted to IRS, VAT, Controller and Accountant General's Department, the Audit Service, where they will have relevant working experience. this is actually what happened. By the end of the first year, due to this program, due to this good policy, almost all the people we sent to these agencies I am mentioning, and their facts are on the ground for you to go and check tomorrow morning. By the end of the first year, more than 80% of the people sent to these agencies were absorbed into the agencies as a result of, one, because they were working well and the agencies found them useful and needed for their day-to-day work. So the agencies absorbed all of them. This is an exit plan, a properly planned and executed exit plan. They were taken through interviews with others, and these people were taken. Number two, if you look, there are so many other modules of the program which we managed to get the people to get full-scale proper jobs. So this is just a summary of the National Youth Employment Program. There are so many other things as the program moves on, we will delve into them.
Mr. Anwar, having heard the former director tell us all of these things, that there was an exit plan and all, what are your impressions?
Actually, I'll complement what he's just said. But I've done a lot of work on the National Youth Employment Program for research work I was doing for a book. So I say on authority that what he said is a full situation as it is. If you look at the NYEP, in fact, in the last 40 years after our independence, it's the most comprehensive program to absorb the youth into the working economy. The difficulty is that because of the cheap politics of that NDC wanted to do the NYEP, certain key aspects of the program were ignored, and that has landed us into the current situation that we have now. My opinion is that the program goes to the core of the philosophical foundation of the NPP as a party. The NPP believe that the youth is the future of this nation, and we agree with Mother Teresa when he said that the youth is the best resource that every nation can have. Our position as a party has been that you cannot just say the youth and the youth to come out as useful to the society. No, they have to be trained and integrated to the economy so they can be useful to themselves and to the nation. So it goes to the heart of our program, our philosophy as a party. So it was no doubt that indeed we came out of that program and tried as much as possible to ensure that the program was actually giving needed resources and opportunities. In fact, we were also inspired by the hard-working nature of the Ghanaian youth. You go to Kumasi, you go to Agolochi Market, you go to Kanech Traffic Light, young men come to Accra, to the cities, with nothing. And within 3 years, they are hiring their own rooms, they are building their own businesses, and they are going up in the entrepreneurial drive. So the NPP as a party was inspired by the hard-working youth and their inspiration and their innovation to actually make themselves useful. So our conclusion was that, well, if the youth are helping themselves on their own way, then by giving them a little push, we can help them to migrate to the formal ladder so they become useful economically to the nation and to themselves. And if you look at the dependency ratio in the nation, the bottom line is that when one youth succeeds, he helps his brother, he helps his family and mother. So like by helping the youth, we are not only helping the nation, but we are helping the cohesion within our society and our family unit. So by and large, the NYEP as a program is what was needed at the time, and it helped us save a lot of difficulties which would have gotten ourselves into if the program was not well implemented, and it was done the right way as a nation.
So if I get the feeling right, if I read it right, then what you're telling me is that the National Youth Employment Program was actually a very well thought out, well crafted program. Both of you are saying that well crafted program to deal with the problem of youthful unemployment in this country.
Yeah, if I'll just use your word, well crafted, well programmed, well implemented. There were challenges. That doesn't mean there are no challenges. There were challenges. Challenge of payment, receiving the monies and all that. You heard that somewhere along the line, people were not paid for 2-3 months maximum. I remember there was this program on Joy FM. I was with Kwesi Pratt and Co. He said he has never heard in the history of Ghana that people have gone to work and they've not been paid for 2-3 months. We had our own issues on Joy FM then. But the issue here is that compare it to now. By then, we were using, when the program was going to begin, let me tell you something that happened, something very interesting. People offered to give funding. Then we were saying that, why should we go and take money and bind ourselves when we can raise the money locally? So we raised every coin that was used to implement the program locally. Number two, the monies that were raised before we left, by the second year, when we saw that the monies we were raising locally were not enough, the communication service tax was brought to help support the program. I want to correct one lie in the system, that we received only 20% of the money. Yes. Yes, why? Because when we were implementing the program, we have already received monies, certain monies from our dedicated sources. The GET Fund is paying teachers, NHIS is paying the healthcare assistants and all that. If they were to give us all the money, we had some money. What we needed at that time was a top-up. So they said we should receive a minimum of 20%. The 20% yielded a certain amount, which helped us pay off all our debt and then take off. Now we are getting well over 60% of that money into the NYEP, and for 9 months, people have not been paid.
Wow. In the abundance of resources, rather the scarcity grows. Welcome to Ghana. Welcome to this government. We'll take our first break. When we come back, we'll continue with the discussion. Welcome back to the show. Again, I'll repeat a point that has just struck me very much. That in the abundance of resources, it is now that the scarcity is growing. When the National Youth Employment Scheme was earning just about 20% of the talk time tax, they were able to pay all their debts. Now that they are being given 60%, we have a 9-month arrears. Interesting points that we make today. But, Arnold, tell me something very interesting. As a youth activist, what is your impression about current levels of youth unemployment?
I think it's very bad, and it's very sad. You see, the NYEP was supposed to have solved some of these problems to absorb the youth into the formal sector, give them training and skills. But because of how poorly it has been managed in these last 4 years, the absorption of the youth, the absorption rate has gone down. Even the quality is also low, and the youth are even refusing to exit the program because they have no skill to be accepted by the private sector when they leave the program. So in the last 4 years, looking at how things has been, that's very bad for the nation, and it's worrying because if you look at the issue, every year we have 100,000 people leaving school for the job market, and if industries are suffering, if the NYEP to absorb the low and the middle level youth are also weak and ineffective, then you can understand why the youth is crying so much. You can understand why the youth is worried that indeed they have no future or they have no hope in this for the last 4 years. So it's worrying. Our understanding is that it is not because that the youth are lazy or the youth are unprepared to work, as is being bandied around, but it has been because of the failure of the government to strengthen the NYEP, expand the base, expand the depth of the program, and ensure that they walk the talk. What has been the case has been an issue of propaganda. We've employed this, we've created this. I hear they're adding about 4 or 6 models. But all this is not being reflective on the ground. The question is that when you ask the models, they absorb the youth, so you should have the youth not even crying. But when the youth are crying for jobs, are crying for even part-time jobs, we should ask ourselves, so the models that the government said they've added, the expansion that they're talking about, what has happened to the expansion? Is it real? In my opinion, and from my research, it's not real. It's something that they are doing as a propaganda spin to actually hurt the youth. It is unfortunate that the program is weak, the youth are not being absorbed to the program, and it's boiling up, and it may implode very soon. Okay.
Mr. Ernest, they talk to me about this phenomenon of jobless growth.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you've heard it.
Yeah.
Where the youth are for the first time in the history of Ghana, we have Unemployed Graduates Association of Ghana.
Yeah.
How, and then we are hearing from government that they've expanded the National Youth Employment Program, they've created 1.7 million jobs. How do we bring the two together?
Thank you once again, and for the people of Ghana, we have to understand one thing. Whatever anybody tells us, there are so many ways to check, to cross-check, and recheck. If the National Youth Employment Program, for example, I'm beginning from there, was supposed to tackle a section of the unemployment situation in Ghana, not everything. Then also, we have, the problem we are faced with now is not just unemployment, the youth unemployment. Then you could have had everybody who is unemployed. We now have graduate unemployment, which is at a phenomenally just absurd. Now, you have people out. I met a guy the other time, and let me tell you, there is an NDC advert on TV, and I'm not too proud of it at all. Somebody who said he's a graduate, he finished, and he's driving one of those three-wheel cars, and that is the business he is running. If we are proud of graduates selling lotto tickets, graduates who are having to go and do the job that our brothers, I'm not saying if you are not educated to that level, you are substandard. But if we, the graduates, are coming down to come and struggle over the jobs that our brothers who do not have the degrees and the certificates that we have, we are coming back to come and struggle over those jobs with them, we shouldn't be proud of it at all. Not at all. It's a LESDEP advert. And the day I heard it, I laughed. Because I met graduate guys who are selling lotto. It's supposed to be for my brother who has not been to school or somebody who finished JSS. So graduate unemployment is my worry here. And he mentioned something. If I come back to the National Youth Employment Program, which was supposed to arrest a section of this unemployment situation. Now, we are receiving money into the scheme. The monies are not going to support the people who are on the scheme. We hear of massive corruption. We hear of some gentlemen who, for the past 2.5 to 3 years, have been stashing away millions of Ghana cedis per month. All we heard was, they said some guy was sacked. And even the guy went back to threaten the powers that be, that, Masa, we didn't chop the money alone. Excuse my language. We did not spend that money alone. So if you sack me, it will be war. So the guy I am telling you as we speak is being brought back into the system, who has taken billions that is meant for the downtrodden. Let me tell you, on the program, there was a gentleman who came to me one day and said he was coming to give me a gift. And I said, Master, you don't have a coin. I mean, I'm better than you. Why do you come and give me some envelope? He stood there and told my brother, today there was a rain. It took off the roof of our building. And I used my money to go and buy a roof and put it back on our building. My father was so proud. My father said, go and thank that man. I said, I don't qualify. The one who gave you that opportunity is beyond me. Number two, there was a gentleman I met. I'm telling you that these testimonies are there for people, and the boys are on the job. That guy wants me to even give his name. That he, in his family, but for we putting him on NYEP to IRS, and he was engaged on the job. He was the first who have had a Ghana government, been on the Ghana government payroll. And today he is building his own house. NYEP did that. And hundreds of thousands of them who came, we have hundreds of them who came on the program and they went through it. If we expand this program and eliminate the many corrupt issues that are going on there, when I say this, I don't say them, I feel even uncomfortable saying them because it shouldn't have been so. People have worked on this program to make sure it is where it is. I'm telling you, go to people on the program, ask them what is in their implementation guideline. They can't tell you. They have not opened it before. They don't know what issue. All they know is, Maza, where is your party card? Then who are you? I am from Mr. So and so, or Honorable so and so says I should come and see you. It is not proper.
It's very bad. But Arnold, again, what is the MPP promising the youth of Ghana?
I think I'm looking at the MPP manifesto and looking at a nice position when he landed e-government, e-platform. Yeah. I think that anybody who listens to him and has looked at this MPP's manifesto, if I should be very happy. That is the most comprehensive program for the youth. It is a one which has been thought through and provides the avenues that we think that is important for the youth, for this nation to support our youth to develop themselves. While we are looking at the redevelopment, redesign of the National Youth Authority into the National Youth Development Authority. We're not only doing that in name, but one, we are going to resource the National Youth Development Authority. Number two, is going to be responsible for the National Youth Policy and creating youth entrepreneurs. Under the youth entrepreneurs, we've identified 8 categories of youth that we want to develop. Number one, there are people who have left school and can handle higher level entrepreneurial activities. We will support them. That there are those who are also in business, but they need financial support. We also support them. There are those who have good business plans but have no funding to support their programs. We also support them. And there are those who are working and also having business on the sideways. We also support them. And there are those who are at the grassroots, who are selling at the traffic light, the Mokwa KJTR, all those areas, we also support them. We believe that some youth needs jobs in the public sector or in the private sector. Others too have got entrepreneurial drive to support themselves. So when we look at our youth programs, we're trying to bring all these people together as a unit and support them as much as possible as we can. So if there's any youth out there who is worried that he has a business plan, he has no idea, I tell them hope is on the way. There's any youth out there who is working and struggling to raise funds for the public sector or for the financial market. We show them that MPP has a program for them because it is difficult and it's too risky for the banks to give loans to these people. So under our youth entrepreneurial program, what we intend to do is to give guarantees and funding for this youth program so that the youth can be on their own. We talk about youth incubation centers. Because these are areas that we want to use to give technical advice and space for the youth. If you want to rent an office in Accra today, it's about 5,000, 10,000. The young man has no even 1,000 Ghana to begin his business. So if the government provides space for the youth, the government provides funding for the youth, we've taken a lot of heavy burden from them. So we have such programs available for the youth.
Okay. It sounds like a very, very comprehensive program. But Mr. Ernest Adadeboating, how feasible do you think these programs are? Because anytime the NPP puts out a policy, you know, the usual conundrum that starts nowadays is it's not possible and it's not feasible and all of that. How feasible are these programs?
If somebody wants to do something and he says, I want to do it, sometimes they say, look at the person. If you see the person, you see he can do it. The MPP said, we will find a way. I have always said this. Before Kufuor came to office, something happened. They were, your mother, your sister will go to Kolebu to go and give birth or any health facility, and he will have to be locked up there. He becomes a prisoner after giving birth. When you are in the birth pain or you have undergone cesarean and you are going through pains.
And for me, the striking point of that is that if a child is born into this world and the very process of birth becomes a debt onto the family.
The mother is imprisoned as a result of his birth or her birth. He's in trouble. Let me tell you, before Kufuor came, cash and carry is the norm.
What's the norm?
Before he left office, it was over. Before Kufuor came, there was nothing like, the unemployment situation was just skyrocketing after 19 years of NDC rule in this country. He came, he found us. By the time he left, at least there is a flagship program, NYEP, which is taking off some of the burden from the people. Before President Kufuor came, there were issues over, look at LEAP. LEAP is, when was the last time they paid money to? This is money that President Kufuor went around to look for that money to pay to the poorest of the poor in Ghana. If you see some of the pictures, you will be surprised. And I want the media to follow this. There are documentation, there are pictures in their secretariat at the Ministry of Employment. Go there. Go and look at the pictures of the kind of people that those monies were supposed to be paid to. Those monies are not going to.
I remember they said it was for political gain. But, you know, all said and done, it's very clear that the NPP has a very great track record when it comes to addressing the issue of youthful unemployment in Ghana. We're therefore asking for the votes of Ghanaians that come December 7, 2012, vote for us again and let us come and deal with these matters in a much more comprehensive manner than we have done in the past. We'll take our second break and come back to continue the discussion. Welcome back to Minority Caucus. In another much ado about nothing move, we have been hearing a lot, especially today, about a tape purported to be the voice of Reverend Dr. Mensa Otabil, speaking supposedly against free education. And this has suddenly become the piece of our opponents, our political opponents, who say that free secondary school education is not possible. What needs to be put on record, however, is the fact that this particular tape that we're speaking of is not a new tape. It is not a tape that was said this weekend or that was recorded this weekend. At least I can tell you on all authority that that tape is more than a year old. So if we are having those discussions, let's situate it in that context. But let's come to my studio guests. What are your comments on that tape?
Thank you very much. I think the desperation of the NDC is most evident. Even a child on the street knows that the NDC is so desperate that they are looking for a straw to hang on to. The tape, as it is an opinion of one person, a Ghanaian. It could be it's like a teacher or any Ghanaian to express his opinion on education. But the bottom line is that we believe that the MPP believes that education is one of the key pillars that we can develop every nation. South Korea did it, Japan did it, UK did it, Australia did it. Even the World Bank believes that the only way for developing nations to buy themselves out of poverty is to invest in education. So the point is well made. But there are two key issues here that I think that we'll have to look at: the quality and the free aspect of education. Nobody said that education is free as it is, because school feeding program is free, but somebody is paying for it. By working on the road, by driving on the road is free. I didn't pay for it, but somebody pay for it in the form of taxes. So the education policy as it is, our basic point initially is that it's free to the child who is going to school, but then we all know that government programs are funded through taxes and investments.
Yes.
So
but
that
we even call it free at the point of access.
Access.
Yeah.
So that point is well made. Now the issue of quality. You see, education could be free and quality as well. We had our sitting president, he went through quality education, and now he's a president. He says he's a quality man, we should vote for him as a president. We have a minister for communication, Mr. Haruna Disu, free education. Now he says he's a minister, so he has some quality staff. We have the Voka. We have so many of them. They all went through free education, but they came as quality products. But look at the MPP's program. There are three indicators or programs put in place to ensure that education is free and quality. Number one, teacher education, teacher training. But look at the program. The program spells out clearly that teachers, the depth of program of training colleges will be enhanced. So teachers will come out as better trained. Number two, the teachers will be motivated, and there will be reward schemes in place to ensure that teachers are motivated, are encouraged to also deliver as it is. And number two, we're also looking at infrastructure. By the figures that we are quoting, by the end of the first year, we'll be building not less than 250 classrooms for those who will be going to school in September to be absorbed fully into classrooms, which will be furnished with furniture, books, and library services. So these are indicators to ensure free education. And number three, also we'll be ensuring that the children who will be going to school will have access to books and access to good quality teachers. So by looking at this issue, we can say that though the education will be free, it will also be quality, because all the indicators that are needed to ensure that they have quality education are put in place. So by saying it's free, the program was thought through, and we have put in place programs and variables to ensure that education is free as well as quality. So,
right. Thank you very much for that very enlightening conversation that you just had. Mr. Ernest Adade.
Yeah.
Free or not free, quality or not quality?
Thank you very much. Free education. I was privileged to be a member of the Board of Trustees of the GET Fund.
Again.
And I want to challenge everybody. Go to the Ghana Education Trust Fund and check how much money we spend on international scholarships. Scholarship, when they say free education, is that, like he just said, it's not that the education is going to fall from the sky for free. It means somebody is absorbing that cost.
So that at the point where you access education, it is
you
free.
don't pay. That is all about free education. And go and check how many people are enjoying free education in Ghana. Number two, check the caliber and the kind of people enjoying free education in Ghana. You open your mouth so wide, because there are ministers and ministers' relations enjoying that scholarship today, as we speak, today. So if they can get it for free at a higher cost, because they are doing it abroad, £12,000, 20,000, 15,000 pounds. How many young people of Ghana with 20,000 pounds? How many of them, their school fees with 20,000 pounds pay? But we are paying 12,000, 15,000 for one person. The GET Fund had a program for faculty development. So when we are talking about teacher training and